The radical, fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Yaron Brook Show on this Thursday, June 8th. Hoping everybody is having a fantastic week. I mean, you can only do that. I think you can only have a fantastic week if you're not reading the news. It's just depressing. Anyway, it is what it is, and I am here to report to you on what is going on in the world, and we will be doing that today. Tomorrow's show will be probably in the evening, so to be determined. I'll let you know tomorrow. Saturday there will be a show and topic to be determined. Sunday there will be a members-only show. So if you want to become a member, today's your chance. Tomorrow's your chance. Saturday's your chance, so you can participate live on the show on Sunday. What did I just do? I didn't want to actually do that. All right, there we go. All right, so the inevitable, I think, has happened. It was just a matter of time before this would happen, but it shouldn't surprise anybody, and it isn't surprising. ICE shot an American citizen. And I believe murdered an American citizen, shot somebody for no reason, killed him. This is not surprising. We'll talk about the details of what happened in a minute. This is completely not surprising, given the fact that we've seen video after video after video, story after story after story about how ICE is using force, how ICE is harassing people, how the people in ICE, the officers in ICE, are untrained or not very well trained, not generally drawing people from the best parts of our world. ICE's mission is a mission of intimidation, of creating a culture of fear, of creating a culture of hostility. ICE has arrested, or put it this way, imprisoned American citizens, legal residents. It is arresting large numbers of people, housing them in horrific conditions in detention centers before possible deportation. ICE is going after people who are following the law, who are going to their immigration appointments and, just taking them away if they haven't dotted every I and crossed every T. From the beginning, ICE's mission has been one that is immoral, anti-American. I mean, I don't understand. Maybe one of these people, maybe one of the people who think that this is the greatest president in American history can tell us. I really don't understand how, if you believe in individual rights, if you believe in limited government, if you believe that when government gets power, particularly when government uses force out there on people who have not violated anybody's rights, maybe they've broken the law, but they haven't violated anybody's rights. But when government is given the tools to inflict force on a huge scale with very little constraints, and on people who have not violated anybody's rights, I don't understand how anybody can think that is, who believes, as I do, in limited government. Government's job is protecting individual rights. How you can excuse that kind of grant of power to the government? The scale of that power. I mean, literally, you watch everything that ICE is doing. Masked. What the hell? Why are law enforcement in the United States masked? I still have seen zero evidence that their life is at risk in any kind of way that requires them to be masked. armed, driving unmarked cars with unspecified authority. They've clearly, taken into custody U.S. citizens. They are demanding IDs from people. Here's another one. A lot of people object to the idea of a national ID, of a government-authorized identification card that one would have to carry around with a chip inside of it that keeps track of everything you do. I mean, conservatives and libertarians and objectivists, are offended by such a thing. The government shouldn't be tracking our behavior, and we shouldn't be required, in order to live in this country, have an ID to show everybody. And yet, ICE is going around demanding that you identify yourself. Why? Why? Innocent until proven guilty? You have no right to demand I get out of a car. You have no right to force anything upon me without some reason. You can't demand, documents from me just for walking around, just for whatever I'm doing, just for driving. I mean, the number of videos I've seen of agents smashing people's windows and dragging people out of cars. Maybe even the people are indeed illegal immigrants. But how do the agents even know? How do they know? If we're not required to carry IDs, if we're not required to show them an ID, how do they know? You first drag him out of the car. You first beat the shit out of him. You first put him in some detention center. And then you figure out whether he's a citizen or not. And remember what the crime is. The crime is crossing a border. The crime is not violating anybody's rights. It's not murder. It's not rape. It's not... I wish they went out of murderers and rapists with the intensity. We're not talking about aggravated assault. We're not talking about burglary. We're not talking about car theft. We're talking about somebody crossing a border. And many of them crossing a border, assuming they're going to get asylum and actually going through a legal process to get asylum. And now the regime has changed and they're denying them asylum. But now we're going to beat you up and throw you in a cell and deport you to some godforsaken place on the planet. What ICE has been doing for the last, 8-9 months is truly unbelievable. It's hard to believe this is the United States of America. It's hard to believe that this is the 250th anniversary. This year is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. These people, these law enforcement agents of the United States of America are not representing the kind of government that Declaration of Independence declared. They're its biggest violators. And then yesterday, a woman is SUV is blocking the road. So it's hard to exactly, I don't know how she got into a position where she's blocking the road, but she's just dropped off a 6-year-old, an American citizen. She has 4 kids. I think 4 kids. She has a number of kids. And it's hard to tell right now online, because if you go on X and you look her up, she's it turns out, according to many people on X, she's a lesbian. Her lesbian partner abuses kids. It's just unbelievable the kind of horrors that they're dredging up in order to justify what happened. Anyway, she's clearly trying to get out of there, right? She's blocking the road and she's trying to take a turn to get out of there. And she's starting to advance forward, and then a car crosses in front of her. So she stops. Then another car with agents comes up. They jump out of the car and they start yelling at her, trying to get her out of the car. And one of them tries to open the door, which is, by what right? Why are you opening the door of my car? She backs up. She reverses a little bit. Then she drives forward, turning to the right to get into the lane to drive away from there. An agent who is standing, who has just come and is been filming The whole time he's been filming. He's got a camera out and filming. He's putting away the camera, taking out a gun. It is in front of her. As she turns, she's turning away from him. He steps away from the car, pulls it. He's got the gun out drawn. He points at the windshield, fires once. As she's turning away from him, fires through the side window 2 more times. Just killing her. Now, if you add to that the fact that they then deny her medical help, a doctor on the scene says, "I'm a doctor. I'd like to go see if she's got a pulse. Maybe I can help her." They don't allow her. They nonchalantly are walking around. At some point, one of them says, "Yeah, call 911. Call 911." And then the murderer, the guy who shot her, and a bunch of other agents drive away from the scene, a murder scene. At least a killing scene at this point. Supposedly the medics show up and they held up. They don't even let the medics go there. The ICE agents themselves, barely approach the car to see if she's alive and what the situation is and what's going on. Can they help her? Maybe she could survive. Nothing. They completely ignore it. They at the office. What the hell? They shot somebody. Now, some of you might say, how do you know, Yaron? How do you know, President Trump has said that this was an act of self-defense. She was actually using the car as a weapon. She was driving and trying to run over this agent. Well, how do you know? Watch the videos. I'll show you a photo in a minute. But watch the video. The videos are very clear. And indeed, even Donald Trump, when he actually was forced to watch a video during an interview with the New York Times, was stuttering, but no problem, because Homeland, our Department of Homeland Security has already come out and declared that she is a domestic terrorist, that she was killed because she was trying to kill the officer, that what he did was 100% self-defense. Kristi Noem defined her as a terrorist. Which, again, is just, I don't know. There are no words to describe how evil this is. I mean, if George Floyd caused demonstrations, this should really cause demonstrations. And on this one, there should be wide agreement. We don't want ICE agents shooting people, killing people. Now, how do we know, she wasn't trying to run him over? You can watch the video. The video is pretty clear, I think. You can watch it in a slow motion. A lot of people have, provided it in slow motion, so you can see. I've just got a photo. Thank you to Cordes for sending me this photo. It's really helpful. This is a photo of the video, like screenshots, but in the moment of the shots being fired. So you can see where the officer is and when the shot is being fired, right? 3 shots, not 1, 3 shots. So let's take a look. These are the 3 shots. Now, if you can't see it too well, blow this up. Once you blow it up, I think it becomes clearer, particularly shot number 1. Now, it's the officer. You can see an officer with the police at the back on his back. It's not that officer that's doing the shooting. It's an officer behind him. You can't see him in shot number 1, but you can see the position of his legs. You can see the tire. The tire is clearly pointed to a turn away from him. His body is in the way of the car. His feet are not in the way of the car. Even his toes are not going to be run over by this tire. And he takes a shot through the front windshield. Why? Just get out of the way and let her drive away. Take down her license plate and go and arrest her afterwards if you think she's fleeing from a scene of a crime or whatever. There's no protocol in police that you shoot into a moving car when nobody's life is at risk. And nobody's life is at risk here. There's nobody in front. There's nobody other than these 2 cops in the way. And then look at the second shot. It's through the side window, and he's way clear of the car. He's not even close to the car. He's not at risk at this point. Okay, so the first shot, he panics. He thought she was running him over. Why the second? And then the third shot, he's arm distance away. Look at the distance there. Is she a threat to him in that third shot? Is she a threat? Well, of course not. Indeed, the Supreme Court in, I think, 85, ruled that police have an obligation not to shoot into a car if at all possible. And certainly if nobody's life is at risk. But look at shot number 3. How do you justify shot number 3 or 2, or for that matter 1? Can't justify any of them. This is just murder. Now, I think what this is an untrained idiot, badly trained. It's cold. He's been harassing people for weeks now. People don't like them. They're pissed off. What's this woman doing? What does she think she is? And he feels threatened because the car's coming in his direction. He pulls out a gun, pulls the trigger, and then just fires 2 more shots because what the hell? It's obviously not premeditated, but it's... you know, this is America. We don't have gangs of you know, police. They're not really police, you know, of agents, of government agents roaming around the streets, rounding people up and shooting people. That's what we have here. And you know what really horrified me even more than this? Was going on Twitter, which is, God, a mistake, I know, but it's my job. Going on Twitter and discovering all the people defending them. All the commentators, all the influencers, all the right-wing hacks defending ICE, defending this, and then calling her names and coming up with stories about her past, and as if that's relevant, right? As if that's relevant. And then just excusing this and justifying this, and you know, truly unbelievable. I don't know where the conservatives, where the Republicans, the decent ones, the human beings, the ones that are still human beings, the ones who can still willing to have an opinion of their own, but ones that can actually look and see and you know, this is like a million times clearer than George Floyd. Now, she isn't black. Maybe they'd be riots if she was black. And now there are demonstrations in Minnesota today, in Minneapolis today. We'll see. This is all in Minneapolis. We'll see how big they grow and what happens, and if they grow even bigger. I would like to see some Republicans coming out and condemning ICE for this, even if they want to defend ICE more broadly. I'd like to see somebody in the administration condemning this. Kristi Noem is, yeah, words fail me. Because it really is upsetting. It's upsetting because it affects every single one of our lives. You know, this is what, letting stuff like this go, letting stuff like this happen is how you get authoritarianism. It's how you get government agents roaming around the streets to go after you. Whatever they decide justifies rounding you up, and in this case, shooting you. There are 2 ICE agents. One is a little in front of the car, but she's turning. So she's turning to the right. He is in front of the car, but she's turning away from him. And he's stepping out. So she's not running him over. And he stepped out, so he's not being run over. He could have stepped in front of the car and been run over, but he's stepping in the opposite direction. So his life is not a threat in that moment. There's just no threat. You can see, you saw it in the photos. And go watch the videos. There are 3 different angles in this. There's only one angle where it kind of maybe looks like, but it's grainy. And if you zoom in, yeah, there's distance between him and the car. And think about her. right? Here she is. She's trying to get out of this blocking the road situation. There's an agent trying to open her door. She doesn't, imagine and then there's an agent right in front of her. And she's trying to avoid him and move out. And she might not be thinking 100% straight. It's a stressful situation. People are rushing at her, and a lot of people are yelling at her. By the way, part of what was being yelled at her is move, move, move. Only then was it yelled at her, get out of the car. So she's trying to move. I mean, there's no question here. And anybody trying to justify this, rationalize this, doesn't care about human life, doesn't care about human liberty, doesn't care about freedom, about liberty. The officer is firing the gun when he's outside of the reach of the car. He leans over the hood for the first shot, and he fires the other two shots from the side, where he's not even close. At no time is he under threat from the vehicle. And it's not clear why they were engaging with the vehicle anyway, and why they were trying to open the door, and what they were doing. And then, of course, just their attitude, their casual attitude. They just shot somebody. Another day in the office, they don't care. There's no CPR, no tourniquet, no chest seal, no combat gauze, nothing. Zero treatment. These are not Americans. These are little monsters. And they don't even know she's already dead because nobody's even gone there to try. And again, people are trying to get there to provide medical care, and they're blocking them. They're not letting them. Somebody says, I'm a doctor, and the guy says, I don't care. I don't care. The disregard for human life. I mean, under what circumstances do people just let somebody bleed out? Now, people in Minnesota upset. There were demonstrations last night, the demonstrations this morning. I mean, the mayor has basically said that ICE should get the F out of Minnesota, and he's being condemned by every single right-wing, commentator. And then the governor, Waltz, is saying, he's going to call up the National Guard to protect Minnesotans from ICE. And of course, you can imagine Republicans blowing up. Remember state rights? The Republicans used to care about state rights. No. Now it's the federal government. They matter. All that matters is the federal government. Because what are they doing? They're doing the people's wish. Deporting illegal immigrants. Most important thing in the world. That's what should be done. FBI is investigating. FBI, do we trust anything the FBI tells us? FBI now has become a completely partisan group. It maybe always was, but certainly is now. Local Minnesota police are being denied access to any kind of evidence. They're denied access to the files. Now, again, this is not the first time people have been shot. This is the most egregious and the one best filmed. We get multiple angles, so we know exactly what happened. But, federal officers fatally shot at least 3 other people in the last 5 months. We're talking about ICE. One was killed while reportedly trying to flee from officers in a Chicago suburb. In December, a Border Patrol agent killed a 31-year-old Mexican citizen while trying to detain him in Rio Grande City, Texas. On New Year's Eve, an off-duty ICE agent used a service weapon to shoot a man in Los Angeles. Now here, supposedly, the man raised the rifle and pointed it at him. So it seems like there was justification. But people have shot agents have shot other people without killing them. A number of people have suffered multiple bullet wounds. So, I mean, these people are out of control. They're out of control. And you see that in the way they harass people, the way they approach. You know, you compare it to the police. The police are like gentlemen in comparison. And the police are professional. They're trained. The FBI, professional, trained. These people? I mean, it's time. It's always been time, but it's time to abolish this agency. ICE needs to be abolished. You know, if you want to deport, work with local police to deport them. But ICE, as a militarized unit of the Border Patrol, immigration and custom enforcement, needs to be trashed in the bin of history, needs to be gone. Never in America, in no time in America should there be a position where there are federal agents that are masks roaming around the streets of America with guns. And with a, you know, ambiguous mandate, is to say the least. I mean, usually when police shoot somebody, generally, juries will let them off. Usually when police shoot, the presumption of guilt is on the person who got shot. That is, the presumption is that the policeman, you know, did this as an act of self-defense. They know what they're doing, and they often get off. But in this case, if this makes it a court, if anybody's willing to try it, it really is unlikely, given the preponderance of evidence that this was not justified. Supposedly, in the last 4 months, immigration officers have fired at least 9 people in 5 states. Let's see, we talked about that. Yeah, I mean, it's at the point now where this administration, if they don't like you, you're just a terrorist. You're just a terrorist. They throw that word around all the time. And a big part of that is so they can legitimately then go after you. This is, Secretary Noem defined this as a domestic terror attack. Yes, ICE was attacked by domestic terrorists. They have no shame, these people. Now, part of this problem is that, you know, they now have quotas. So many people they have to deport, so many people they have to arrest. They're hiring, they got a massive budget, so they're hiring more and more people. To get to the number of deportations, they need to deploy people really, really fast. So the training is being reduced. They're cutting corners. And, you know, they are just supposedly in the ICE Academy where they get the training. They've been gutted. The training has been gutted from 5 months to 47 days. Why 47? Because Donald Trump is the 47th president. That's the kind of MAGA zombie, you know, ass licking that government bureaucrats are now engaged in. And these are the people we're putting out into the streets. They don't care about human life. They don't care about you and me. They don't know individual rights. They don't care about individual rights. They care about any of this. They care about making their numbers. Making their numbers. And again, what's shocking is the people defending them. The people defending them. You know, Tim Pools of the world, Benny Johnsons of the world. Just, yeah. Anyway, luckily those are some good breakdowns of videos that you can find online and see what is happening. By the way, supposedly this morning, And actually, there's video of this too. There's video from Minneapolis, same city, this morning. Agents converged on a high school in Minneapolis. They landed up pepper spraying students. School administrators and staff tried to get agents off school property while ushering students away from armed federal agents. Chaos, panic, children running. Just, what are they doing at this high school? Who are they protecting? Whose lives are they saving? On broad daylight, on U.S. soil. This is not Venezuela. They're not kidnapping Maduro. They're kidnapping your kid. Anyway, I can't. I've said this before. I can't think of anything more horrifying right now than ICE. They need to be shut down. They need to be shut down forever. But they won't be. They won't be. Nobody has an incentive to do it. Nobody will want to do it. I think anybody in power is going to want to have a little private army of thousands of people who are willing to go out to the streets and harass Americans and even shoot them. Why not? And again, they're not arresting gang leaders. They're not arresting rapists. They're not arresting criminals. They're arresting people who are working. They're arresting people who are living in this country. All right. So I'm for abolishing ICE, getting rid of it, and revamping our immigration laws to make it easier for people to come here so they don't have to cross illegally. And finding a way to legalize those who are already here. I know, very unpopular position. But that would be my position, and Americans out there who ICE is not very popular right now, which is good. It means Americans are still Americans. ICE is not very popular. Rounding up illegal immigrants, even illegal immigrants, never mind any immigrants, just as a free-for-all, is not popular among Americans. They want the bad guys. They want the criminals. But just rounding up people is not popular. America is better than ICE. America is better than ICE. All right, I'm getting a correction here that the video of ICE kind of approaching the school and harassing students was not this morning. It was yesterday morning, so before the shooting. Today, all the schools in Minneapolis were closed because of the shooting. So because of the shooting, they've all been closed. All right, so that's my take on the ICE murder. And we'll see how this story develops. I'll keep you updated, and we'll see if anybody else joins me. And I mean, I'm sure there will be, and I'm sure there are people condemning this. But let's see how many people who are not leftists stand up and condemn this, and how many of them call for abolishing ICE. I mean, Ilya Soman has already done so good for Ilya. Ilya used a lot of Ilya's material on legal stuff. He's very good. But Ilya's already condemned this. So I'm curious, what did Ben Shapiro say? So Colt Savage says, I watched Ben Shapiro take And Now Yours. I don't know the details about this, but I'm mostly with you on the subject, and it's sad this is happening. Was Ben Shapiro trying to rationalize this? He was trying to justify this shooting? I mean, Ben, who's pretty good at analyzing videos and slowing down and doing that. I mean, is he afraid that if he comes out against ICE, he'll lose his audience. What is Ben Shapiro thinking? I mean, Ben, I still think Ben is better than this, but I guess I'm wrong. I guess none of them are. They're too beholden to a mindless, hateful, angry audience that just won't tolerate any kind of sympathy for somebody who doesn't do exactly what the police tell them to do. Imagine that. These are supposedly MAGA who not in favor of supposedly individualists who want to stand up to the police. It's definitely murder. It's not murder in the first degree. It's not premeditated. And the fact that he shot a second and third time, his intention is to kill. And there's nobody life at risk. There's no self-defense involved. Maybe you could argue the first shot, he panicked. Maybe you could argue the first shot is panic. Now, I don't know all the legal definitions. Maybe by legal definitions, it's not first degree, it's not murder. But it just seems like murder. It's killing somebody for no reason. Killing somebody for no reason. Again, shot 2, shot 3 cannot be justified. No. Curious how Ben Shapiro could justify this. It's disgusting. It horrifies me. It horrifies me that somebody like Ben Shapiro would justify this. Again, go and make your own mind up. Go and watch the video. Anyway. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to Venezuela. Another, what do we call it? Interesting place. Anyway, a few things about Venezuela. So we talked about the oil tanker that was taken yesterday. So basically, what the United States is trying to do is block all the ability of Venezuela to export oil without getting the approval of the United States. So to do that, it's not like it's hunting down and running down all the shadow tankers out there. They're basically focused on those that are working with Venezuela to move oil out of Venezuela. The reason they kind of hunted this one down is because it approached Venezuela. The Coast Guard tried to board it. I didn't know this yesterday when I was telling you the story. The Coast Guard tried to board it, and the tanker evaded, got away, and kind of disappeared from the radar for a while. And so they were committed to kind of tracking this down because they tried to board it, and the tanker managed to evade them. It's not that they're chasing down every shadow boat out there. It's the shadow boats are the unregistered ones that are going around the sanctions. There's nothing to suggest yet that the Trump administration is seriously going after all the Russian shadow boats that are shipping oil out of Russia. That would really piss off Putin. This has already, I think, pissed off Putin a little bit, but that would really piss him off. What they're really trying to do is take control over, the oil export out of Venezuela. The other day, a number of these boats tried to leave Venezuelan port all at once in order to overwhelm the U.S. assets, trying to stop them. And indeed, many of them got away, and one of them was boarded. So ultimately, this is all a story about the U.S. trying to control Venezuelan oil and then control this oil, where it goes, what price it goes, and where the money goes, Right now, Trump has made it very clear that the idea is to control Venezuelan oil for years to come. This is not a short-term plan. They want to have control over the oil for years to come. This is what interests them. It's not about freedom for Venezuelans. It's not about any of that. The fundamental is making sure that the oil flows to the United States, and then the United States can control where it is sold. I've told you this in the past. The reason they're so interested in Venezuelan oil, particularly for the U.S., is because of the refineries in the Gulf Coast, which are, the best in the world in terms of refining heavy crude. And there's a shortage of heavy crude in the world. There's just not a lot of it. It's hard to get it from Canada. Canada has heavy crude. Russia has heavy crude, but the whole idea is not to buy oil from Russia because we're embargoing Russia because of the war. Venezuela has a huge quantity of heavy crude and a lot of reserves, a massive amount of reserves. And the United States has a lot of built-up capacity in terms of refining capacity to deal with heavy crude. So, and Venezuela is close. It's easy to get to. There's no geopolitical risk in transporting it that far. There could be a war somewhere in the world, and the U.S. could still get its crude from Venezuela to the Gulf. Then from the Gulf, the refined products, once it's refined, could go to the United States. They could be exported. There were a lot of avenues. So there's real demand and interest for private industry to get the crude to the refiners in the southern Gulf. Most of the heavy crude that arrives comes from Canada. It's an overwhelming majority. Some from Mexico, and a tiny bit is coming from Venezuela over the last couple of years. Historically, Venezuela was a major source. But of course, that has gone away since 2018. That has really disappeared. Mexican shipping is not that large. It's almost all Canadian. The United States is a massive exporter of oil, but the United States produces the oil that we produce, right? By the way, the United States produces more oil than any other country in the world. We pump out of the ground more oil than any other country in the world. Our oil is light and sweet, which is very different than the oil that comes from the Canadian oil sands or that comes from the Venezuelan oil fields. Right? And, the oil in Saudi Arabia is very light. Oil in the Middle East is light. Easy to deal with, easy to ship. The heavy oil is also difficult to ship. It needs to be watered down mixed up with other oil in order to water it down. But yeah, I mean, it's the amount of crude that the U.S. produces and then ships is pretty amazing. And indeed, again, the United States, the largest producer of crude oil in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. Now, why do they care so much about the oil? Well, it's a strategic asset. We've talked about this in terms of China, in terms of potential war, in terms of Taiwan and all of that. There's no question about that. But more than that, Trump has also promised to lower gasoline prices, to get prices down. And, that's a big issue, is affordability. And he can say that he's doing this. He's fighting for the American people. He's trying to get lower prices. This oil from Venezuela will help lower the prices and increase supply. Of course, it'll take years for it to have a big impact. It's going to take years, maybe a decade, to get those oil fields up and running back to capacity the way they were a couple of decades ago. It'll take a long time to get that oil out and shipped and introduced into the world market. It's why oil prices are not dramatically declining. It's not like you can open a spigot tomorrow and this oil comes. But it is true that the more of this oil comes into the world market, the lower the price of oil is, the lower the price of your gasoline is, the more difficult it is for American producers to produce a profit from pumping oil. American oil is not cheap to get out of the ground because much of it comes from fracking. It's not like Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, the oil is super cheap to get out of the ground. It's super easy and it's super cheap. U.S. oil is expensive. As oil prices come down, profit margins decline. The incentive to frack declines. And you will see a decline in the production of oil in the United States. There's very little investment going on right now because oil is under $60 a barrel. Very little investment going on in new fields right now, in new oil wells right now for that reason. So you've got this, double, split where the lower oil prices are, the better it is for consumers, but the worse it is for actual American producers of oil. Not that that should matter to anybody. We're not central planners. Trump shouldn't be a central planner. Just leave markets alone. I mean, yeah. All right, let's see. I mean, prices are cheap right now, $56 a barrel of West Texas intermediate oil. And that's because OPEC has boosted production over the last year, and the supply is up. Supply is up. It wasn't that long ago that a barrel of oil was close to $80, and rumors had it going to 100. All right, what else do we want to say about oil? So the idea is that, as I said yesterday, the United States would control the sale of Venezuelan oil. The money from the sale would all be put into an offshore bank account of a U.S. bank that is not a U.S. Treasury. That is, it would be like an independent bank account that the United States controlled how the money was used, but it didn't own it. How that is legal, I don't know. How that is constitutional, I do not know. How do you decide which American bank is going to have these billions and billions of dollars, deposited in it? Well, who contributes more to the new ballroom in the White House? So the money is going to be in this external bank account outside the United States. People are trying to figure out how this will all work, who gets to control it, who decides. Is Congress going to have any say in how the funds are dispersed? And exactly by what right is this money, God, by what right is this money being held by an American bank? By an American entity, by the U.S. government? None of this is clear. Will Trump have unilateral authority to oversee billions of dollars in Venezuelan oil money? Will U.S. or Venezuelan taxpayers have access to the money or to decisions about the money? The point is, spokesman for the administration emphasizing that the United States will control this money, no matter what. So it'll be done through the Energy Department, not the Treasury Department, because they don't want to be count towards Treasury, because then it'll have to be added to the budget, and Congress will have to allocate it. Supposedly all proceeds from the sale of Venezuelan crude oil and oil products will first settle in U.S.-controlled accounts at globally registered banks. The U.S. will maintain control of these funds. The whole thing is, why not just let American oil companies back in and let them control the funds? Let them extract the oil, sell the oil on global markets, open up the ports, and tell them you can't sell it to China or whatever you want to do, and let them control the money. This is statism, authoritarianism, 101, 102, 201, I don't know, but it's clearly statism and authoritarianism. But, who am I to question what the greatest president in American history is actually doing? He remember, we've been told over and over again, he's the greatest. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he's He's the greatest from the perspective of objectivism, so he's the greatest vis-a-vis capitalism, freedom, liberty. Pretty amazing. All right, finally, Congress has done something. It's shocking, I know. It was hard for me to believe when I read the headline. But yeah, this morning, the Senate, we don't yet know if the House will follow up, but the Senate has actually had a procedural vote. It's not an actual vote. There's no action that will be taken. But a procedural vote, and it voted 52 to 47. Listen to this. To block President Trump from further military action in Venezuela. So it's basically, called a war powers resolution. It only needs a simple majority. And it will require, the resolution requires Trump to seek approval of Congress before using military force again in Venezuela. The measure was brought by Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia and Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Now, the vote's procedural, but it indicates that the measure has the votes to pass if it comes to a final vote in the Senate. It would then go to the House, where Republicans have raised a thin majority. And if all Democrats vote for it and a few Republicans, like in the Senate, vote for it, it's done. The Republicans who voted for this are Susan College of Maine, Lisa Murkowski, Josh Hawley of Missouri. That's surprising. Indiana's Todd Young and Rand Paul. So 5 Republicans, that was enough to clear the vote. I don't know, a few Republicans voting against Trump? Whoa. It's pretty amazing. And the fact that Josh Hawley is among them is a little, I don't know, striking. Maybe he's taking the MAGA view that, you promised no wars, and maybe that's his position. I don't know. I'll have to research what Josh Hawley's position is on this. Yes, so this is what Rand Paul had to say. Quote, make no mistake, bombing another nation's capital and removing their leader is an act of war, plain and simple. No provision in the Constitution provides such powers to the presidency. Good for Rand Paul. I mean, I have my disagreements with Rand Paul about a bunch of different things. But he's absolutely right about this. Susan Collins wrote after the vote, while I support the operation to seize Nicolas Maduro, which was extraordinary in its precision and complexity, I do not support committing additional U.S. forces to entering into long-term military involvement in Venezuela or Greenland without specific congressional approval. Again, does she view the initial one as constitutional or non-constitutional? We will see. All right. Update about Iran. We haven't reached tipping point yet. I'm watching, but we haven't reached it. Demonstrations continue and are accelerating. And there's reasons to believe beyond the demonstrations that this regime does not have long to survive. Look, the economy of Iran is in tatters. It is completely, inflation is out of control. The local currency is basically worthless. It's toilet paper. Tehran and many Iranian cities have no water. Literally, there is no water. The water has been so mismanaged that a few years of drought here, have made it impossible. The reservoirs have all declined. Indeed, Iranians' water generation depends on water-intensive infrastructure. And so you get constant blackouts. So this revolution is a lot more than a theoretical revolution about freedom, which would be fantastic. It's about existential. It's about existence. It's about life. It's about living. Resources are failing. Electricity's failing. Water's failing. Money's gone. There's oil sales, which are done under the table because of embargoes, because of sanctions are still happening, but that's at cheaper prices and pretty shady. And where's that money going? To nuclear power, to nuclear bomb programs, to doing what? Where's all that money going? Not to helping Iranian citizens. U.S. has sanctioned Iran, and to a large extent, Europe has sanctions imposed on them as well, which have made it very difficult for Iran to do anything economically. While oil revenue is the backbone, there's only so much they can sell. Right now, they're selling 90% of the oil to China. So Tehran is completely dependent on Beijing. And as oil prices have gone down, that has dramatically hurt Iran. As if Venezuela oil comes online, oil prices go down more if that happens. It hurts Iran. There's no foreign currency. Again, inflation out of control. A rate of 42.2% in December. Just in December. Food prices in December went up 72%. Savings are worthless given inflation. Pensions worthless given inflation. People have very little to lose. People have very little to lose, and they even, I think, people who generally support this regime have given up on the regime. Even the Atlantic magazine has a story this morning with the title saying, "Change may be coming to Iran," and emphasizing that they're now scared. The regime is scared that what happened in Venezuela might happen in Iran. That the U.S. is serious about it and will do something. I'm more skeptical about this happening. On the good news front, Trump is meeting supposedly later today with Iran's crown prince, Pahlav Reza, the Shah, I guess, if they anointed him at Mar-a-Lago today. That would be good. It'd be good if Trump got behind him. Remember what he did in Venezuela, which is threw the opposition leaders under the bus. Maybe here some coordinated effort to install the Shah as in kind of a constitutional monarchy to reestablish secular government in Iran, which would be, as I said, an amazing achievement. In the meantime, in spite of the fact that Iran is bankrupt, work continues. Work continues on its nuclear program, in spite of the damage done to the nuclear program by Israel and the United States. A number of nuclear sites, there was satellite photos, images show construction, show work on it. They are trying to rebuild some of the programs that they had. Of course, Trump has claimed that evidence of that would be reason enough to bomb them again. We will see. I think a concerted, focused effort by the United States and Israel from the air could easily tilt this and easily achieve tipping points and bring about a complete revolution in Iran. There are rumors of, I think we talked about this yesterday, of Iranians trying to get visas to anywhere, France, Canada, trying to get out of there, or at least try to get their families out. We already reported on Khamenei's, ready to go with 23 people, family and advisors, to Moscow if he comes to the conclusion the regime cannot be saved. Again, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. The demonstrations in Tehran are going to have to get bigger, more substantial, more sustained, and they're going to have to focus in on, infrastructure of the regime. Remember, Tehran is a very large city. To really have a revolution there, you would need millions of people out in the streets. There are probably hundreds of thousands now. You need to get it up to millions. there needs to be a plan, and there needs to be, of course, some military force that tips in their favor. Now, let me just note that, I know a lot of you are following a lot of different Iranians broadcasting about Iran. There's a lot of stuff online. I follow it too. I watch it all. I find them to be over optimistic, over enthusiastic, and understandable. I'm not blaming them for anything. They think it's imminent. They have been thinking it's imminent for days now. They keep reporting on cities coming under control of the demonstrations, which might be true or might not be true. But these are relatively minor cities. Outside of Tehran, the big other cities have not seen the kind of level again of demonstrations that we would need to reach the tipping point. I just warn you that, and there's a reason for this. I mean, the more they can hype this, and I think it's completely justified. The more they'll get support, the more they can hopefully get Israel or the United States to intervene. But for the sake of objectivity, I just don't think it's there yet. I don't think it's there. I think this might very well be it. That is, I think this series of demonstrations, as it grows, as it lengthens, and as the regime becomes more brutal. So far, the regime has killed people. Some estimate 35 known people have died. Others are saying it's in the hundreds. But it's not the kind of repression that we saw in the past, where thousands of people were killed. The regime is trying to see if they can wait them out, if they can wait the demonstrators out. So it's yet to be seen what exactly the net result of all of that is. All right, let's completely shift gears. Talk about the business world, something from the business world, which I think is going to be fascinating and really, really interesting and really, really horrible and so on. As I think everybody in the world knows, Warner Brothers is up for sale. And Warner Brothers, that also owns HBO Max, and lots of properties, including the studios, but also CNN and a lot of others. It's basically put itself up for sale. There are two parties competing for that sale. One that has so far won, which is Netflix. Warner Brothers has agreed to sell itself to Netflix. And that deal supposedly is moving forward. In the meantime, Paramount, owned by the Ellisons, we've talked about this in a past show, is trying to bid for Warner Brothers kind of in a hostile takeover. That is, they're trying to offer them more than Netflix, to the point where the board will have no choice but to agree, or even just shareholders will impose that deal on the board. So far, the board has resisted and said no. Speculation is that Paramount would have to offer $34 a share, which is, by most accounts, kind of in insane territory or nosebleed territory, very, very high price, in order to get Warner Brothers to cancel the deal with Netflix and shift over to Paramount. There's also a penalty if Warner Brothers changes their minds and goes with Paramount. They'd have to pay Netflix a breakup penalty, so all of that is priced in. So they're estimating about $34 a share. In the meantime, of course, once this deal is approved by shareholders and everybody signs off on it, then you will get the Justice Department looking at this deal. This deal is going to come under antitrust scrutiny. It could come under antitrust scrutiny under Section 7 of the Clayton Act, one of the antitrust laws, where they would try to block the acquisition, try to block the sale. Or it could come under Section 2 of the Sherman Act. And in that case, the entire business model that Netflix has could come under scrutiny. And the Justice Department could seek to completely restructure Netflix. This is, by the way, in a sense, been done before. Right? In the golden age of cinema in the going all the way back to the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, the big studios had all kinds of arrangements in terms of how they sold their movies, and whether they, a lot of studios also owned cinemas, cinema chains owned the studios. There was a lot of vertical integration within the industry. And then they were sued under the Sherman Act, Antitrust Act, which reached the Supreme Court in 1948. And basically, there was something called, that has come to be known, the Paramount Consent Decree, which basically lays out all the rules that says theater chains need to separate themselves from studios. Studios can't use certain tactics when selling their movies, like, you know, what they call block booking. You can't force theaters to license films in bundles. You can't give exclusive rights for overly broad territories. Anyway, the Supreme Court and generally antitrust in those days, in the 40s and 30s and 40s, were really excited about telling businesses what kind of contracts they could or couldn't sign, they couldn't get engaged in. And they wanted to regulate through antitrust much of the business activity in the United States. I mean, to a large extent, a lot of mythology about free markets in the United States is completely ridiculous and off, because the reality is that businesses were heavily regulated, and antitrust was used to a large extent to do that regulation. Right? All right. Anyway, let's see. So, yes. So, anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what they go after Netflix for. They could very well, you know, Netflix produces movies, it hosts the movies, and it screens the movies into your home. And it owns the movies. It also leases the movies out to other streaming. It also leases movies from other studios. And it does all that, and it in all those contracts, detailed contracts, does the government want to get involved in regulating all that? During the Reagan era, a lot of deregulation impacted this, and basically this old decree from 1948 was basically made useless and ignored, and ultimately with streaming, it all went away. And what you got is a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity. What you got is a lot of competition. But the argument's going to be made that Netflix with HBO control too much, and Netflix plus Warner Brothers control too much of the production and too much of the streaming. Now, what is too much? Some say 30%. Okay, and some say, well, it really gets bad if it's more than 50%. But are you including YouTube in the 30% and 50%? What exactly are you including? How about TikTok? Is TikTok a competitor of Netflix? Or isn't it a competitor? I mean, the point is, all of this is arbitrary. All of this is random and arbitrary. It is giving the government power over business that is just absurd, unnecessary economically, and a clear violation of the property rights of the owners of the businesses. Why can't Warner Brothers decide who to sell to? Why is it the government's business? Now, add to that the fact that Trump has expressed serious reservations about Netflix buying Warner Brothers. Why? Because Netflix is considered a leftist organization dominated by woke managers. Whoa, now we'll have Warner Brothers and all of this, and HBO now fall under woke managers. We don't want that, says Donald Trump. Talk about freedom of speech. Talk about violating people's freedom of speech. Categorizing, media based on their views and telling them they can merge or not based on whether you want their views to grow in influence or shrink in influence. Again, none of the government's business. Paramount, on the other hand, are very friendly to Donald Trump. The Ellisons are big contributors to his campaign and have committed to taking on a more right-wing, if you will, perspective. Also, Netflix doesn't want CNN. They will spin it off. Whereas Paramount wants CNN and wants to convert it into Fox Light or Fox Strong or Fox something. And yet the government is involved in all of these decisions and every aspect of this. Basically, the merger will now be determined by what makes sense, what makes economic sense, what makes profitable sense to shareholders, who is willing to take on more risk, what the competitive factors are, how the industry shapes up from a competitive perspective. None of that will play a role. What will determine whether this merger goes through or not is, I would say, the arbitrary assertions of an antitrust court combined with the arbitrary whims of Donald Trump. This is truly horrific. Somebody says, is your bet on this front? Mostly not, but in some cases it is better. In some industries, European antitrust accepts much more concentration than the United States does. And in some industries it's healthy, and other industries it's not as healthy. Remember, I mean, the Department of Justice blocked Penguin Random House from buying Simon & Schuster. They can do this stuff. They can decide who buys who. They can decide who can merge, what business strategies make sense and what business strategies don't. They decide, not the market. Now, look, most mergers fail. Most mergers do not produce good results. But that's a market result. Let the market sort it out. I mean, it's quite likely that Netflix will merge with Warner Brothers, take on all these assets, HBO Max, and a few years later, it'll be such a bad deal that they'll have to splinter off and break it up. Maybe. But let the market do it. Let the individual choices of individuals determine that. But we live in a world, and this Trump administration, more than any, of real central planning, of a desire to govern and rule and decide how business should structure itself, how business should conduct itself, how industries should be. We live more and more in a world of top-down decision-making. I said this years ago. I said this during COVID, when COVID started, really, and lockdowns appeared. I said, we are all China now. And I think we are all China now. We're all moving towards the economic, political model of China. Everybody wants to be China. This is from the President of the United States yesterday. All United States defense contractors, these are private businesses with shareholders, boards of directors, private businesses. All United States defense contractors and the defense industry as a whole, beware. Just that opening line should send shivers down your spine. I'm sending ice. While we make the best military equipment in the world, no other country is even close. Defense contractors are currently issuing massive dividends to their shareholders and massive stock buybacks at the expense and detriment of investing in plant and equipment. This situation will no longer be allowed or tolerated. What the hell? The President of the United States just said that he would not allow a private company to issue dividends and do stock buybacks. And by the way, is showing how ignorant he is of valuation and economics at the same time. I mean, and admitting at the same time that these companies produce the best weapon systems in the world. He continues, also, executive pay packages in the defense industry are exorbitant and unjustifiable, given how slowly these companies are delivering vital equipment to our military and our allies. Salaries, stock options, and every other form of compensation are far too high for these executives. Defense companies are not producing our great military equipment rapidly enough, and once produced, not maintaining it properly or quickly. From this moment forward, these executives must build new and modern production plants, both for delivering and maintaining this important equipment, and for building the latest models of future military equipment. Until they do so, no executive should be allowed to make in excess of $5 million, which, as high as it sounds, is a mere fraction of what they are making now. Additionally, the maintenance and repair of equipment once sold is far too slow and must be immediately enhanced. As president, I'm demanding that maintenance be spot on time. Therefore, I will not permit dividends or stock buybacks for defense companies until such time as these problems are rectified. Likewise, for salaries and executive compensation, military equipment is not being made fast enough. It must be built now with the dividends, stock buybacks, and overcompensation of executives, rather than borrowing from financial institutions or getting the money from the government. Longer term, this is good for both executives and shareholders because it will be great for our country. Now note, long term, I, Commander, Central Planner-in-Chief, I know how many dividends should be issued. I know. What you should be investing in. I know. What equipment should be produced. I know. The government knows. I mean, this is central planning par excellence. I mean, if this was written by AOC or by Elizabeth Warren, you wouldn't be surprised. This, again, from the president, who some are telling us is one of the greatest in American history, and a pro-liberty, freedom, because he's going after the left. Trump's method of fighting communism is embracing it. Best way to fight the left is to become a leftist. Best way to fight the socialist is socialist stuff. You think Mamdani is dangerous? I mean, Mamdani can evict some people from their apartments, horrible and terrible, and maybe he can even force landlords to sell their buildings. Horrible, just horrible, disgusting. Donald Trump is now taking over whole publicly owned companies. If truly what he's suggesting is good for shareholders, why aren't shareholders demanding it? And if the military thinks that its stuff is not being maintained well enough and the equipment is not being built fast enough and all that, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with military bureaucracy, I'm sure Pentagon bureaucracy has nothing to do with all this, then why are they paying so much money? Maybe pay less? Maybe pay based on performance? The solution cannot be central planning from above by Donald Trump. It's not the government's business. It's not the government's business to tell us how to live, to tell us what to do, to get involved in our decisions. The government's business is to protect us and leave us alone. It's not the government's business to tell companies whether they pay dividends or whether they do stock buybacks. And if they don't deliver good products, then there's a business relationship. Find them. If they're not maintaining, don't pay them. If they are shitty companies, take away their business. Cut them loose. But this is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And this is, of course, the same day that he announced that institutional investors will not be allowed to own homes. Where in the Constitution does it say that the government gets involved in who owns homes, who buys homes, who sells homes to whom? I mean, what else does he want to control and regulate? What other aspect of our life? And God, I see some of you on the chat want to give ICE the benefit of the doubt. Why? Why? When the evidence is clear-cut, unequivocal, you can see it on video. Why are you giving them a benefit of doubt? Why are you giving government thugs the benefit of the doubt? The same people who are telling us who can buy our homes, how many they could buy. And by the way, we don't have time to get into that. We'll leave that. All right, final item relating to military as well is, again, from Donald Trump yesterday, maybe this morning. After long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of our country, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for the year 2027 should not be $1 trillion. Oh, no. But rather $1.5 trillion. And this will allow us to build the, quote, dream military that we have long been entitled, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. Now, how do we do this? Right? We are able to easily hit the $1.5 trillion number while at the same time producing an unparalleled military force and have the ability to, at the same time, pay down debt and likewise pay a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots within our country, all because of tariffs. I would stay at 1 trillion number, but because of tariffs and the tremendous income they bring, amounts being generated that would have been unthinkable in the past. So we have a president who can't do math, who really can't do math. And I'm sorry, I know some of you resent it when I call him having the economic knowledge of a 5-year-old. But he has the mathematical ability of a 5-year-old, or he just lies, just blatantly lies about it. We're running right now $1.9 trillion deficit, $1.9 trillion deficit with the tariff revenue, with all the tariffs, which he, by the way, keeps excluding items from. If tariffs are so good, why exclude anything from it? Why aren't there tariffs on iPhones and bananas? Bananas excluded, iPhones excluded. Why are they excluded if tariffs are so good? But anyway, where are you going to get? Well, 1.9 trillion with the tariffs. Another $500 billion on defense. That brings it up to 2.4 trillion. Who cares? It's just money. We just print some more. We just borrow some more. And I'll lower interest rates at the same time. That is quite a recipe there. We'll force interest rates to be low, and we'll issue debt like there's no tomorrow. $0.5 trillion increase in defense spending without cutting any other spending. I mean, okay, you say, oh, I am going to cut Medicare for $500 billion and put it all in defense. Well, okay. But no, it's all going to come from tariffs. And you're going to get a dividend, by the way. You're going to get a substantial dividend, and you're going to pay down the debt, and we're going to have a $1.5 trillion military budget. What is going to happen when none of that comes true? Is anybody going to go turn around and say, Trump can't do math? Will people come up here and say, Yaron, you were right. Trump can't do math. Yaron, you were right. Trump has an understanding of these things of a 5-year-old. Fifth grader. I'm right about Trump's mental capabilities. Or the alternative is he is a bold-face. I mean, he's even a bigger liar than even I think he is. Either way, it's unbelievably horrific and unbelievably destructive and generally ridiculous. All right, that is the news for this Thursday, January 8th. We will now be shifting to your Super Chat questions. Not many today. You guys are going in a dry spell, I see. You can still ask. There's plenty of time. You can ask questions, particularly $20, $50, $100 questions would be really appreciated. We need to make up some ground here in order to get to our goals, our fundraising goal for the month and for the day, for the show. Let me also say it's a great way to support the show and trade with me. You're getting this value. You're getting this value at no cost. The cost should be reciprocated. Reciprocating values. Value for value, trade. You can do it here by Super Chat or by sticker. We got 185 people watching right now. There were 199. You can jump in. As soon as I say that, the number of people watching drops. They all go away. And if you're not here live, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon.com, Yaron Brook Show. Patreon.com, Yaron Brook Show. Just become a monthly supporter, and then you don't have to worry about the Super Chat and that stuff anymore, though you can do both. Super Chat, you actually get to determine what I talk about. It's kind of cool. You can make a comment. You can disagree with me. I read all the Super Chat aloud, so everybody knows. So please do that. She did not drive into him. Look at the video. Actually look. Don't look with the preconception. Even if he wasn't touched, she didn't run over his feet. She didn't touch him at all. And protocol and police in all law enforcement is you don't shoot into a driving car. But in this case, since she didn't even come close to him, she came close to him, but she was not a threat to him. To shoot to kill is straight out murder. Straight out murder. Nothing was to be gained from it. It's not like he was protecting his life. Like if she was dead, you saw what happened to her. She lost control of the car. That wouldn't have saved him. If she was really running him over, she would have run him over. What he did was the right thing. He got out of the way. Nothing hit him. And when he took the shot, he was clear from the car. He was clear from the car when he took the shot. I showed that in pictures earlier. Anyway, people see what they want to see. They really do. It's truly stunning how, she's a leftist and ICE represents Donald Trump. They're always going to be in the right. If you're a leftist, you're always going to be in the wrong. And people's actual perception gets changed when that happens. Look at the photo of when he takes the shot. He's clear of the car when he takes the shot. All right, Patreon. Let me remind you about ARI Live, which starts next week. I'm still looking for some students for my public speaking seminar. Join us. You can find information on aynrand.org/start here. There's also a discount code, YBS, 26 YBS 10, 26 YBS 10. Join us. It's not even clear why was he in front of the car? Why was he even in front of the car? He was shown videotaping. Why was he standing in front of the car when the car was moving? What's he doing there? And again, there's no self-defense here. This is just punishing her for him being afraid, for having to move out of the way, punishing her for not doing what he told her to do. You don't kill people for that. Really disgusting. All right, what else? No, she didn't try to run him over. Not at all. She was trying to go to the right and go into traffic. If she was running him over, she would be going straight, not to the right. She avoided him, is what she was doing. But again, you will see what you want to see because you are biased and you will defend the regime in play no matter what. I am here just to tell the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Just to tell the truth. She was ordered to get out of the car. Yes. By what authority? She refused the order. Was she a threat to anybody? No. Was she a violent something? No. But what authority does the police come up and open your car door? And he's not only police. He's ICE. By what authority did he do that? Who is he? Who is she? All right, let's jump into the questions. Rational IP. Given at 60 euros, thank you, Rational IP. We need a few more like that, guys. We're running short of our target for today. He says, given that the rise of far-right politics in Europe is driven by public insecurity in effective enforcement, often due to lack of resources, how can a pro-freedom approach credibly address this sense of insecurity without undermining liberty? Well, I think it's fairly easy. I think what you need is to define what the problem is. Where does this insecurity come from? Well, it comes from immigrants from Muslim countries who have declared that they have no interest in assimilating, many of whom are living off the state through welfare, and who are committing acts of violence and are being radicalized in mosques that are teaching the worst kind of Islam, the Islamist Sharia jihadi ideology. The solution is, first of all, for mainstream politicians to acknowledge that, to say that is what's happening, and then engage in systematic deportation of those people engaged in that activity. That is, those people that are preaching ideas that are, that basically involve the destruction of the West. Again, I would declare war and whatever, declare Islamist ideology as an enemy of Germany, of Europe, or whatever it is, and go after those people and deport them. Anybody who's committed a crime, instead of being super lenient, which is what the legal authorities are doing in Europe, is super lenient with immigrants, be super harsh with immigrants. You're expected to assimilate. A major part of assimilation is abide by our laws. You don't abide by our laws, we're throwing the book at you. And if you're not a citizen, deport them. If they are citizens, throw the book at them. So when the grooming gangs happened in England, the police should have been all over it. And they should have arrested them, and they should have prosecuted them, and they should have sent them to jail for the rest of their lives. Instead, they got lenient sentences. The police weren't interested. They were worried about offending a minority group. So you have to recognize what the problem is and then go after the perpetrators. And it's not a lack of resources. It's a lack of will. It's a lack of identification of the source of the problem and a will to engage in it. By the way, the other issue that makes far-right politics popular in Europe is the zero carbon issue. It's the green agenda. The far right are the only people willing to say, this is stupid. We should, in Germany, we should restart the nuclear power plants. So you solve the problem by being honest about the existence of them, what they are, and how they work, and then by acting on them, by actually doing the work. And that's not a shortage of resources. That's a shortage of will and the intellectual honesty to actually engage with your voters around what is really going on. Andrew posted this yesterday, just after the show ended. A brief fictional scenario, aggrieved intellectual. There's some pain in living. Woe is man. Existence is torture. Is a torture chamber. An objectivist. What exactly are you grousing about? I'm focused on happiness and on moral and not on minor pains. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, an objectivist is even if they're grousing about, even if there is an issue, but the whole framing of the aggrieved intellectual, existence as a torture chamber is absurd and ridiculous. And focus on life, focus on values. You have turned your life into a torture chamber is probably the appropriate things to say. You have made your life a torture chamber by not actually going out there and pursuing values, pro-life values. Clark Young, if you want to really grow the show this year, would it be worth it to do a fundraiser to bring on someone like Alex O'Connor to have a debate or discussion with? Interacting with big names is worth the investment. Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I don't know how, I have a feeling Alex O'Connor is beyond my budget, beyond our budget, but yeah, that's a good idea. Finding ways to interact with these people is going to be important, and figuring out who the big shots are and interacting with them is definitely a way to grow the show. How much it grows the show is hard to tell. It definitely gives it a boost. Whether that's a sustained boost or not is hard to tell. Ian says, how much did debating Alex O'Connor improve Craig Biddle's numbers? Probably not much, but I don't want to be compared to Craig Biddle. Thomas, someone wrote, okay, we stole your dictator. Now you have to steal ours. That's how the rules work. Yeah. Come and steal ours, please. Somebody take him. Linda says, why do ICE agents hide their faces? I mean, the explanation given by Homeland Security is that if not, they are threatened. People will threaten their lives, threaten their families. They'll find out their identities. They'll harass them. And supposedly there have been some cases where they've been harassed. That's the price of being a policeman. The price of being a police officer. You guys should watch some Westerns about how the West was won. They didn't wear masks. They were just tough guys. And, they were harassed constantly. Michael Dow says, Super Chat won't let me comment on it. You have to misspell a lot. You have to do a lot of misspelling. NM, are you calling for people to take the streets? I mean, me calling for people to take the streets is meaningless. And no, I'm not big on demonstrations. I am, but I like the fact that people are filming all of this that's happening. I like the fact that they are yelling at the ICE. I like the fact that the cries of shame, shame, shame are being heard. This might be something that, if it develops into a real demonstration movement, could be worth demonstrating for. I'll talk about that when it happens. I'm not going to start a demonstration movement. I don't like demonstrations, and I'm not a big supporter of them. But there has to be a way for the American people to express their disgust with what is going on. Not your average algorithm. The ICE agent had his weapon out before the car moved. He was looking for a reason to use it. I didn't see that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Michael, her car was turning right. Her path to get out was turning right and not towards the ICE agent. This was murder. I agree completely. And I think the video and the still photos show that. Like the numbers, why didn't more people from Rand's time protest Jim Crow laws by blocking police in the South? Should they have been more like Renee Good? Was she blocking police? Was that what she was doing? Do we know that? Do we know what she was doing? Do you know that? I don't know what she was doing. More people in the 60s should have been protesting Jim Crow laws, yeah. I mean, the one kind of protest I would have joined would have been some of the civil rights protests, given how they were treated, given what was at stake. Absolutely. Absolutely. But her car, it's not clear what her car was doing and whether she was blocking. And again, you can arrest her, say she was, what do you call it, disrupting police work or whatever. You don't get to shoot her. You don't get to shoot her. Mike says, ICE also shot a man in Glen Burnie, Maryland on 24th of December. No footage, unfortunately. Yeah, it's sad. We only know about it when there's footage. The cell phones have made a lot of this, so much better, because now we can actually see what's happening. James, do you know if anyone in the Trump administration is listening to your show like they were during the first term? I doubt it. But I don't know. But no, I don't think anybody is. I mean, this administration was manned by very carefully with the right people from Trump's perspective. Rock, what's your view of lobbying in a mixed economy? Doesn't it make separation of state and economics impossible? What's the solution? Well, I'm all for lobbying because you have to, because otherwise I'll steamroll you. The only way to stop lobbying is to separate state from economics. And maybe the most powerful lobby should be the lobby that lobbies to separate state from economics. But in a mixed economy, you have to lobby. Otherwise, you're basically completely at the whim of the government, of whatever they decide to do, without getting a voice in it. Liam, will the Civil War start with immigrants organizing and fighting at ICE agents, firing at ICE agents? I don't think so. I don't think immigrants are going to organize, and I don't think people are going to get around to fighting in the streets over immigration, ultimately. Linda says, support YBS by clicking the thumbs up. It helps Yaron. Yes, please like the show. Linda also says, Yaron is a hero for truth. Thank you, Linda. So yes, like the show. It really helps the algorithm, so please do that. Please, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. And we are way off our targets for today. So just a general ask. We've got 175 people watching right now. It wouldn't take much to reach our targets if you guys were willing to do a sticker, $1.99, $2.99, even something small. Value for value, a trade. I'm providing content. You're obviously getting something from this. It would be great to have you help make this show possible. This show is funded contributions from you. Doesn't happen by itself. I don't have any other sources of funding. I wish Qatar would come around with a couple of $1 million, but they're not. The Israeli government isn't supporting me. Trump doesn't want to fund me. So it's you guys. That's it. That's all I have left. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Looking forward to Friday. Friday should be Friday, and the weekend should be good. Michael says the NYPD have been arresting ICE agents. That's interesting. I haven't heard about that. I'll have to look into that and what comes of those ICE agents once they get arrested. Thank you, Michael. John is just on a sticker for $5. Thank you, John. You guys can do stickers for $5 too. Exit did a sticker earlier. Who else? Nick, thank you. Roland, thank you. Let me just thank Mary Aline, thank you. Geoffrey, thank you. Carl, Gail, Colt, Silvanos, thank you. We got a bunch of stickers. Gregory, thank you. Not a lot of questions, but a lot of stickers. All right. Gregory, good. I appreciate it. Those of you who watch after the fact, patreon.com, Yaron Brook Show. You can also do an applaud, which is a way to contribute to this particular show underneath the show. Sumerik says, thank you. Thanks, Yaron. Thank you for that. And thank you to all the super chatters. I really, really appreciate it. Keep it coming. Keep it going. I'll see you tomorrow. Not sure exactly what time, but we'll figure it out.